2025 NFL team previews. We get the Dallas Cowboys. Now, for the past 5 years prior to the start of each NBA, MLB, and NFL season, I post my future bets in the Discord community for that season. Anyone that's been following me for a while or been a member of the Discord know I've done pretty good with future bets in each sport. When it comes to the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys specifically have been a team I've won a lot of money on. Going back 2 years to the 2023 preseason, I made future bets on the Cowboys every possible way, over 9.5. Over alt wins 11.5 at plus 200 odds, to win their division at plus 190. I even bet long shots on them to win the NFC and the Super Bowl. Of course, those two didn't win, but I was really high on them that year and made almost 6 units on them. Around this time last year, I made a video that went viral. You probably saw it. In that video, I gave out two of my favorite future bets for that season: under Cowboys wins, and then no to make the playoffs. Both those won, which brought me up almost 10 units total on the Cowboys futures just this past 2 years. Now, I mention all this to let everyone know I'm basically an expert on the Cowboys, and I'll probably win money on them again this season. So for this year, when considering all things, this might be the first season the Cowboys aren't super inflated or overpriced. Even 2 years ago, when I bet their overs, they were probably still a little hyped up, but I bet their overs anyway. Last year, they were extremely overpriced, so unders made more sense there. This year, I think they're undervalued in the futures market, or at worst case, just probably priced fairly. Cowboys faced a top 10 strength of schedule last season. What's interesting here, I've seen the Cowboys strength of schedule ratings for this year listed everywhere from top 10 toughest to bottom 10 easiest. And that's why it's important to understand how whatever strength of schedule ratings you're looking at should know how they're being calculated. Because if you just go by opponent win totals, which is simply adding up the total expected wins of all teams scheduled, Dallas would face the 10th toughest. But most people who create strength of schedule ratings just stop there, but there's so many different other factors that go into strength of schedule. I'm not saying using win totals is bad or wrong. It's probably the best, easiest way to do it, but I have the average rating for the Cowboys' opponents this season at 0. This is based on my power ratings for each team, but it's also adjusted for things like rest advantage and sequence of games or situation of travel. And I've been meaning to kind of talk more about strength of schedule and was going to do like a separate video on it, but I think I'm just going to touch on it now while on the topic. Like if we look at a team like Washington, they're a good example to look at this. Fairly tough strength of schedule, 13th hardest based on win totals alone, but I have them playing the 7th toughest overall strength of schedule, and it's because they're at a rest disadvantage in so many games. They play 4 teams that are coming off their bye week. It's the most of any team. Washington's own bye week, where typically teams have a rest advantage, theirs is negated in week 12 because their opponent's also coming off a bye week. Now, my point here is there's just no perfect, simple formula for strength of schedule. If you look at 5 different strength of schedule ratings, you're probably going to come up with and see 5 different results. And I know some people that just disregard strength of schedule altogether because it's all about that current week. A team could have the toughest strength of schedule, but by week 4 of the season, that team is now could be scheduled to play 4 different backup quarterbacks because of injuries, and now has one of the easiest strength of schedules. So in a way, it doesn't make a ton of sense to spend a whole lot of time calculating strength of schedule or putting a ton of stock into it, because results are, more fluid or can kind of change throughout the season. But back to the topic at hand here, the Cowboys, they face a really favorable first 11 weeks to the season and should be able to stack up some wins before the tougher part. Weeks 12 to 17 are pretty brutal for Dallas. They get defending Super Bowl champs Philly, then KC on Thanksgiving, then they go to Detroit for a Thursday night game, then Vikings, Chargers, and Washington. They'll play 3 Thursday night games in a span of 5 weeks from week 13 to 17. And that week 17 game is a scheduling spot I can't find that's ever happened before in the history of the league. Thursday night game in Washington, so Dallas is going to be on a short week with travel, but Washington's going to be coming off a home game versus Philly on a Saturday game. So not only does Dallas have a short week with travel to play a divisional game, but will be at a full day rested disadvantage. That might not sound crazy, but I can't find another time this has happened. Road teams on a Thursday night game are already at a disadvantage because they lose a day of preparation to travel. But then to have the opponent with a full day rest advantage on a short week is crazy. I guess on the bright side, it's a divisional opponent, so there's familiarity there, which is much different than preparing for a team you haven't played before. I have Dallas with the biggest win total difference based on my win projections versus the current win totals listed by the sports book. So betting over 7.5 wins when I project 9 wins seems like a no-brainer. But the reason I haven't clicked this one in yet is because I already bet Dallas to win the division at plus 650 over a month ago. So I'm now deciding if I want to add more risk on Dallas. I'll probably end up betting over 7.5 at some point, and if I do, I'll add it to the official spreadsheet in the Discord. Uh, I'm not really worried at all about Dallas's offense, but this is the defense that let up a ton of big plays in high leverage, meaningful spots last year. The Cowboys did face the second most snaps from elite quarterbacks or top 10 quarterbacks. And when you filter the Cowboys defense to plays just outside of the red zone, their pass defense was really good, top 7 in the league. But for some reason, when opposing offenses entered the red zone, something happened to this Dallas defense. Their EPA against the pass in the red zone was dead last by a large margin. And it wasn't just the pass defense, they were equally as bad versus the run in the red zone. Overall, the Cowboys allowed a 75% touchdown rate in the red zone. That's not just worst in the league last year, but it's the fourth worst of any team the last decade. I have to think those numbers drastically improve this season. When it comes to injury luck, the Cowboys overall weren't like riddled with injuries as a team. They finished with the 19th most AGL due to injuries. That's adjusted games lost. Um, but the injuries they did have happened to like their biggest names. Dak 9 games missed. Mika Parsons 4 games. Demarcus Lawrence basically missed the entire season. I think he played like 2 games maybe. Deron Bland 10. Diggs missed 6 games. Um, Dallas is busy this offseason. Changes to both the coaching staff and personnel. The big on-field move was getting a legit outside wide receiver, George Pickens, to go along with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. They also bulked up the interior offensive line with first-round pick Tyler Booker from Bama. Didn't really like them letting go running back Rico Dowdle. They let him walk in free agency. But when you have the highest paid quarterback this season, the third highest paid wide receiver, and Mika's still going to need to get paid, I think, doesn't leave much money for other spots. On defense, they're going to need to get Trey Diggs back from injury quickly. Not sure how many games he's expected to miss to start the season, but whatever it is, it's not like he's just going to come right back and be like a Pro Bowl caliber player the first week. Without him, this secondary could be in trouble. Elam, Bland, third round rookie Siobhan Revel Jr. Not exactly a secondary that opposing quarterbacks will fear. I do like the second round draft pick there, Donovan Ezraku from Boston College. Edge guy that's should help limit the loss of Demarcus Lawrence, but I'm always biased with local college guys too. Now, if Dak stays healthy, adding Pickens, this is easily a top 10 offense. Major concerns about the pass defense and Schottenheimer being like a complete disaster at head coach. One thing I'm sure of is Dallas is going to be like a dead nuts over team early in the season before the market catches up to the totals and starts making their game totals like 55. I think there'll be like a lot of shootouts. I'll be looking to bet overs in their games early in the season. But I'm going to stop here. Denver Broncos up next. Be on the lookout for that one. And until then, good luck with your bets.